Hello, everybody. It is March 18th, 2024. It is Monday. That's my fun day because that's the day we record the Old Mage MTG podcast. Welcome to episode 81. Thank you so much for joining us. While you're here, if you'd like to support us for free, give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave us a comment on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We also have a TCG affiliate link. So if you're going to buy cardboard from TCG Player, as I do, please do so using our link. It's no extra cost to you. We get a percentage, so your collectible cardboard addiction can help support the podcast. Everybody wins. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today, we're going to move on from our Ice Age block discussion. So far this year, we broke down Ice Age alliances. We saw Cold Snap for the very first time. It was printed in 2006, but we hadn't seen it. We were out of the game at that point. We dipped our toes into a new frame set for the first time. It was exciting. It was intimidating. It was scary. There were elves riding dinosaurs. Alex, it freaked me out.
Yeah.
We're retreating back to the old frame world, back to the comfort and warmth of what is possibly the greatest of all old frame formats, Premodern. Today, we're going to start a multi-part review of a powerful clan. We have part one of Premodern Soldiers. But first, we have a follow-up to the last episode. Follow-up. Alex, you pointed this out to me a few days after the episode went live. I forgot to talk about one of the coolest rares in Cold Snap. In my defense, it was in the document, but when I was revising the document, I accidentally deleted it. I didn't notice. We forgot to talk about probably the coolest legendary creature in Cold Snap, Zur the Enchanter. So Zur is one colorless, one white, one blue, one black, legendary creature, human wizard, 1/4. So he can't be bolted. He's flying. Whenever Zur the Enchanter attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it into play. If you do, shuffle your library. It has a rating of 4.114 on Gatherer, market price of 72 cents on MTG stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Last week when I wrote these show notes, it was $1.37. It's collapsing.
Whoa.
The Zur market is collapsing.
Whoa.
So this is really great because it doesn't even need to do damage. There are cards like this that have some kind of really cool effect, but often they need to do damage. Zur just needs to attack.
Or be unblocked. Yeah, he just has to attack.
So, I mean, I saw this and I immediately wanted to pair it with Maze of Ith because that's what I like to do. I like to play Maze of Ith. Goes great with Zur the Enchanter.
And that's kind of like the less common usage of Maze of Ith, which I like. You know, people don't expect it maybe. I think I was telling you before that like when I got a Maze of Ith, like right when I first started playing Magic, it was like confusing to me because I was learning the rules of the game and I was like, what do you do with this? Because I was only thinking about using it this way, like on your own attacking creature. I didn't realize you could use it to neutralize your opponent's blocking attack, your opponent's attacking creature. So when I see people use Maze of Ith like that, it kind of, reminds me of like my confused early player days when I wasn't sure what Maze of Ith did.
And you look at lands and you just think they're supposed to produce mana, and then all of a sudden you see the first land that doesn't produce mana, and you think, what the hell am I supposed to do with it?
I set it aside right away. I was like, I'm not really sure what to do with this until someone explained it to me.
I would love to have this for the commander deck I'm building, a deck with Atog as my commander. Not as my commander, just to help out, because I'm building my Atog deck as an enchantment deck. This would be fun.
Wow.
I was looking at some of the comments on Gather about Zur the Enchanter, and some people have very strong opinions about Zur the Enchanter. I found something from the Annals of Gatherer posted by Mr. Action on November 17th, 2012 at 3:18 and 27 seconds in the PM. Mr. Action said, EDH makes you build 100-card singleton decks to make for gameplay that stays exciting through variation. But when your commander's a tutor on a stick, every game plays the same way. If they don't kill him before his first attack, he winds up shrouded, indestructible, or immune to damage, whichever one will most neuter the opponent's removal. Then he fetches the same two enchantments that combo into some sort of complete lockdown or infinite combo. I don't hate him because he's overpowered. I hate him because he's boring and against the spirit of EDH.
Ah.
I kind of understand that. I guess it depends on what kind of EDH you want to play.
I understand the thought, the feeling there. My comment though, I guess, is that like that's sort of like your choice when you build the deck. Do you want to build a deck that plays the same way a lot of the time? I know it's harder to do in EDH, but you can do, use tutoring effects and draw effects similar to this in all sorts of decks, and I'm sure you can
Mhm.
make EDH decks that kind of play the same way most of the time. So yeah, I mean, I agree it's less fun, but some people might want to do that. Um, Also, I mean, just because he's tutoring for enchantments doesn't mean you have to play in that like combo sort of way where you always go for the same combo pieces. You can just have a lot of cool enchantments in your deck.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
pull out the one you like right now for this particular game.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I see what he's saying.
I've had thoughts like this too. We've only built one commander deck. We're building our second commander decks now. But I'm now working in 5 colors, so I have a lot more tutors open to me. My first commander deck, I can't remember if I have 0 tutors or if I finally included enlightened tutor. I'm blanking right now. But at the most I have enlightened tutor. It's been in and out, so I can't remember if it's in now. But with the 5 color deck, I was like, "Oh, man, I can put in Enlightened Tutor, I can put in Worldly Tutor, I can put in Demonic Tutor, I can put in Vampiric Tutor. I think all of those are gonna go in." And I thought to myself, "I don't know, do I wanna put this many tutor effects in? Is it kinda cheap?" I'm justifying it for this particular deck because I feel like I'm already playing with kind of a weak commander and a Tog, and I'm making it even weaker because I'm limiting myself to the old frame environment. So I can't play with a lot of the more powerful modern cards that go really
Right,
well with a Tog.
right.
So I'm like, just let me have my tutors.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
understand this. Like, I think one of the things that draws me to Commander as we're starting to build Commander decks is the fact that it's 100 cards, is the fact that it's singleton,
for sure.
and it's an environment where I get to play the cards.
Uh-huh.
I like to play different cards.
Yeah, I don't like, boring decks that play the same way every time that are sort of like, mechanical.
Yeah.
Uh, I like to have some like variation in the way the game unfolds. Um, an issue I'm having though, since I'm new to Commander and I haven't done this, I'm worried about that, kind of like spread out singleton nature of the deck. I'm worried that like, I'm not going to get the deck to do what I want it to do, or that like, it might swing wildly in like how how strong it is or what it does based on like what I'm drawing in a particular game. So
Mhm.
definitely I'm going to be putting in a few tutor type effects in my
Yeah.
deck because I want to make sure that like, you know, I don't know, I'm getting to good stuff and I'm not stuck with weird hands of cards that don't work well together.
Yeah. You have to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
When you're playing in tournaments, when you're playing competitively, you want to reduce variation.
Mhm.
You want to use things like Zer to help you get the cards that you want to end the game as fast as possible,
And
as
your
early as
bubbles
possible.
and cycling effects and yeah.
When you're playing casual, sometimes it's more fun for a lot of people to introduce a little bit more randomness to the game. You don't know exactly what play lines are going to occur, how the game's going to go. I enjoy that just in a casual environment. But at the same time, you don't want to build a deck that never does the thing. You
Yeah.
still want to do the damn thing sometimes.
Yeah.
You have an idea about what your deck can do. You want it to do the thing sometimes. You
Yeah.
don't want to build a fucking terrible deck that never does the damn thing. So yeah. Anyway, Zer, great card. Powerful. Gets Mr. Action riled up.
I like it. I mean, it's powerful. It feels like what a legend, from the old set legends, should
Yes.
feel like to me. It's like it's stronger than most of them, but
Yes.
it's 3 colors, but still not outrageous to cast. And it has a cool effect. It's strong.
I also like the fact that in the art, Zer's weird as hell.
Yeah.
We were first introduced to Zer in the card Zer's Weirding. Here he is being a weird little guy. There's a newer art with Zer. He looks more intimidating. He looks more frightening. Where is it at?
It was just
Dominaria
above there, I
Master.
think. Up higher.
Double Masters.
Oh.
I think it's, yes, the Double
Right.
Masters. This guy looks scary.
Boogie.
This guy looks powerful. There's nothing weird about this guy.
No, I'm just getting out of there.
It's good art, but yeah. I don't want to stick around when he comes floating in out of the ocean.
Freezing all the ice in his path.
I see this guy. I want to have a beer with him. I want to have a conversation. I want to be like, what are you getting up to exactly?
I want to see what he has for trade. Yeah.
You're up to some weird shit, aren't you? I know
like magical dusts you can barter with me.
Okay. That's the end of our follow-ups to the last episode. We're now moving on to segment 1. Segment 1 of episode 81 is titled Premodern Soldiers, Part 1. This is a review that Alex put together. He reviewed the Premodern Soldier card pool. He found the soldiers that piqued his interest, that got him excited. He wants to talk about them now. You want to get going, Alex? You want to get started?
Sure. So Soldier, a little introduction. Soldier is a creature class. Thematically, it embodies traits like discipline, training, formal organization into a group, sort of like in contrast with some of the other similar types like barbarian, warrior, which tend to be a little like looser in their, grouping and training and etc. Most of the soldiers in the game are white, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Blue and red also have a fair amount of soldiers, and a few have been printed in green and black as well, and there are some multicolored. They often have first strike, vigilance, or other combat-related abilities. Soldier tokens are very common as well, although many of those are in modern. Soldiers were first featured in Fallen Empires when they brought out the Acacian faction, Acacian Soldier, etc. But then Banalish Hero and several other cards were changed to soldiers retroactively.
That's right. There was a hero. There was a hero group, right? And
Yeah.
at some point, the heroes were rolled into soldiers.
Avenger, Hero, Legionnaire, Pikeman, and Squire have all become soldiers retroactively.
Pikeman, Squire, I remember from the Dark. Legionnaire, I remember there was a Akron Legionnaire.
Akron Legionnaire from Legends.
From Legends.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any Avengers.
I don't remember Pikeman. Which Pikeman did you say?
I believe there was a Pikeman from the Dark. Let me look.
I know Squire was in the Dark. Yeah, Pikeman was also the Dark. Oh, I remember this art now.
They're holding pikes.
Yeah.
Right?
They're banding first strike, 1/1.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. And Squire had I wonder if it's the same artist.
It looks the same.
Because yeah, the art looks very similar.
Pikeman, Denise Detweiler. I'll look up Squire in the background over here. Squire. Squire is also Denise Detweiler.
Yeah. All right, we called it. Dang.
The same fella. Okay, I was just trying to think where those different where I saw those different cards printed. Pikeman, Squire, Legionnaire, Hero.
Weird how old the Squire is in this card. It's kind of like a skinny old guy.
Doesn't quite look human either. There's something about these creatures.
Yeah, a little hobbity thing going on. Okay. Soldiers, some other information for you. Soldiers sometimes appear within a larger organization in Magic. The Ascari are soldiers who come from Zalfir, featured in Mirage and Visions. And I learned about this one. There's one called The Order with capital O. From Odyssey and Onslaught. That includes some of the Deru cards that we've seen before when we talked about clerics. The Deru clerics and some warriors are both part of the Order. So that was something I learned about.
The motto of the Order was peace must be preserved at all costs.
Sounds right.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. I've seen Daru creatures from some of our reviews through Odyssey.
Oh, and the upcoming Order of the Holly Leaf from Bloomborough, which I thought was neat to find out about. I don't know anything else about that, but we know it's going to be there. I was wondering, just speculating, Order of the Holly Leaf sounds like it might be green soldiers.
It does actually.
Huh? Could they be
It does, yeah.
like squirrel soldiers, maybe mouse, raccoon soldiers, something like that?
I'd like to see a class of ant soldiers.
I saw, oh yeah, that'd be neat. Ant soldiers would be awesome. Yeah. That fits perfectly.
You're welcome,
I s-
Mark Rosewater.
I
Although
saw,
they already
I
designed
saw a
Bloomberg.
list from Bloomborough. I think it was actually linked through here, through MTG Wiki. They show the color breakdowns of a lot of the creatures in Bloomborough. So like the ones that have green in them would be frogs, rabbits, raccoons, squirrels, and bears.
Hmm.
So that's just, who knows if green will actually be the color for that card. Mice are white and red, by the way. And it seems like there are going to be some black bat clerics.
Oh, okay.
Just a little Bloomberg side note there for you. Bloomborough. Some notable soldiers from older sets. Gerard, Sisay, General Jarkeld, Rashida Scalebane, Tobias Andrion, Torsten von Ursus are all soldiers now, at least. You're looking up Torsten von Ursten?
I'm looking up Tobias Andrion, also a legend, right?
Yeah, they're both
Blue-white.
bad legends, I think. Tobias,
Blue-white, high casting cost?
yeah, just like high casting cost and just like a vanilla creature, I think.
It is blue-white.
Yeah.
3
4/4.
colorless, 1 blue, 1 white, 4/4. Okay, Tobias. And Torsten is green-white.
I just don't understand why they didn't give like cards like that some kind of little ability. Like, why do you want to pay multicolored mana for a 4/4? Just like play Crawworm.
Yeah, I don't know. They had their fancy legends and they just, I don't know why they felt the need. Yeah, why did they feel the need to put in vanilla legend creatures? You could have just made, you could have limited the legendary creatures to the special one.
Mm-hmm.
Torsten is 3 colorless, 1 white, 2 green, 5/5 summon legend.
He looks kind of like a bad guy that would tie you to the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
In armor.
Yeah, I see that. Does he have a guitar strapped to his back? Is this a guitar neck?
Guitar.
No. Okay. That'd be sick, actually.
And then in the some of the newer sets out of Universes Beyond, Boromir, Faramir, Pippin, Guile, and Chun-Li are also soldiers.
Okay, we got a couple street fighting soldiers.
Yeah. Also, there was a Stranger Things Sheriff Hopper is a soldier,
What?
apparently. I
No.
don't know if his character's backstory might have had like a military, you know what I mean?
Okay, actually, I don't know. I don't know that
or
yet.
something in that show. And then Portal 3 Kingdoms has a bunch of soldiers in it. I'm not even going to try to poorly pronounce all of their names, but there's like 20 to 15 or 20 soldiers in Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Okay, Portal is loaded with soldiers. That's a set that I really know almost nothing about.
Yeah, we'll have to come talk about that set one day. Maybe we'll take introductory Chinese pronunciation first, so we don't screw up your
that would be rough. I was listening to myself the other day trying to pronounce a French name.
Yeah.
On a previous episode, it was embarrassing. I can't even pronounce Eben correctly 75% of the time. But anyways.
On to some soldiers, eh? First soldier I thought I'd bring up, this one is not pre-modern legal actually, but I thought we'd kind of like go back to where it began.
Okay.
Acacian Infantry. Actually, I mean, Banala Shiro would probably be the best starting point, but everyone knows what that does. So we'll look at Acacian Infantry for now. This is a 1 white, 1/1. It has 2 abilities. You can pay a colorless mana to give it banding until end of turn, or to give it first strike until end of turn. So kind of similar to like the order cards from Fallen Empires, like the Pump Knights, a little
Hmm.
bit has some abilities. It's not just a boring 1/1, so it's okay. But like I said, not pre-modern legal. I just thought I'd mention it because we talked about how the Acacian uh, group was the first appearance.
When I think of vacations from Fallen Empires, I think of two things. I think of Vacation Store, and I think of those terrible lands
Hmm.
with the storage counters.
Yeah.
And then I think of Acacian Javelineers, which is probably why Acacian Infantry doesn't get much play, because in the one
Oh,
drop spot in white, you have Acacian Javelineers, which I don't know if these are officially soldiers also. There's a bunch of different occasions. Yeah, they are. They're also some
okay, cool.
soldiers.
They're soldiers too. Cool.
These are, I mean, these are great because Acacian Javelineers, they're one colorless, 1/1. When they're brought into play, you put a javelin counter on them, and you can tap it to remove the javelin counter to have the javelineers deal 1 damage to any target. So you can use them to pick off Birds of Paradise, to pick off Llanowar Elves, to pick off all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, just one time. Okay, that's not
Most
bad.
of the time, especially in early game, that's going to be a better ability than
Yeah, yeah,
First
definitely. I
Strike or
like this
Banding. Yeah.
more immediately. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I had forgotten about this card. I think I knew about it once.
I see these show up sometimes in white weenie decks in old school that also allow Fallen Empires. I don't know all the different old school formats, but I know that there are some people that play old school with Fallen Empires included, some people that play it without Fallen Empires. If you're playing old school with Fallen Empires, in black, you're going to run Him the Torak. In white weenie, you're probably going to run some Javelineers, I think.
Makes
Anyways,
sense.
occasions, where it started with the soldiers, kind of, except
Kind
for
of.
Banalish Hero.
Cool. All right. Another
Well,
card I found. I'm sorry. What?
actually, where it started, because Banalish Hero at the beginning was Hero.
Yeah.
These were summon soldiers. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. First, actually printed on the card as a soldier. Okay. Um, Here's a card from Stronghold. This is another just like simple. I'm starting off with a couple just like simple ones. Honor Guard.
Honor Guard.
Honor Guard is another 1 drop, 1 white, 1/1, and it has toughness pumping ability. Spend a white to give it +0/+1 until end of turn. You can use that as many times as you want.
Okay.
So I don't hate this. It's a nice little pumpable defensive soldier.
Yeah.
Question is just, there's a lot of soldiers, and we're gonna see some that are definitely better. So
I feel like there's some other cards that have similar Shield Bearer. Does it do the same thing?
that rings a bell, but I can't remember.
Shield Bearer, no. Shield Bearer from Ice Age, 1 colorless, 1 white, 0/2, summon soldier banding.
Okay.
I just thought maybe it pumped toughness because it has a shield on its back.
And
So
I mean, I know there are other creatures like this with toughness pumping, but I can't really recall any of them right now. I haven't played a ton of white weenies, so I don't remember, and I don't know how many of them would be soldiers. Some might be clerics or whatever. Knights.
Honor Guard. I hadn't seen the Honor Guard before. If I did, it just didn't stick in my head.
Yeah, this was a new one to me. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this one at all. It's called Shield Mate. 2 words.
Shield Mate from Exodus.
It's a little, I don't know. It's 1 white, 1/1.
Hmm,
You can sacrifice Shield Mate to give target creature +0/+4 until end of turn.
okay.
So just kind of a combat trick,
Yeah.
sacrificial soldier here. Um, we're going to see a few other things though that have some similar, damage prevention or combat tricks too that might be good or just flat out better than this. But this was a new one to me, so I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, I see him. I kinda like him because he can protect, he can come out first turn. You can
Mhm.
put something out second turn that you really wanna keep around longer,
Yeah,
and you can use the Shield Mate to protect that card from lightning bolts and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. And having it there as a like an obvious threat on the board might be kind of cool in like multiplayer where you're trying, for the diplomacy type aspect, like keeping discouraging people from attacking you. Okay. I'm glad you like that one a little bit more. I don't feel as bad now.
Not a bad little common. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, like, okay, so I'm getting from here. We're going to get into the ones that I've seen mostly in like decks when I've looked up like pre-modern soldier decks or pre-modern soldier lists. Most of these cards are on them, so there's probably
Okay.
a ton of soldiers that we are missing or unfairly ignoring. You know, anyone feel free to mention them to us, and I'm sure we'll keep coming back to soldiers that we find.
These are the ones you've seen most often in the pre-modern soldier decks
Yeah.
that you've taken a look at.
Mhm. Okay. Sarah Zealot.
I have a
Sarah.
vague memory of this. I feel like I like the art.
Yeah, the
Yes,
art's
I
pretty
do like
cool.
the art.
It's another pretty simple one. I probably should have just mentioned that right away with those. It's a 1 white, 1/1 first strike. Uh, just standard soldier flavor there.
Drop your Sarah Zealot, turn 1. Drop your White Knight, turn 2. You got a 1/1 first striker, a 2/2 first striker. Then you start dropping your Anthem spells. Curving out with the first striking soldiers. Sarah Zealot, your 1-drop.
I should have looked up the gatherer ratings for these before the episode, just to get a feel for how much other people like them.
Market price is 23 cents. All these commons we talked about so far, they're all super cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get into any expensive soldiers. I'm not sure that there are any expensive soldiers.
Yeah. I don't know that any that I have on here are. Maybe some of the named ones when you talk about like Captain Sisse or something. Uh, some
That's
version of
right.
Gerard.
That's right.
Sarah Zealot's 3.325 on Gather.
Acceptable.
Acceptable. Yeah. Okay. Soltari Champion.
Sorry, champion. It's going to be a shadow creature of some
Yeah.
type.
You like this because that's Shadow. I thought this wasn't bad. It's 2 colorless, 1 white for a 2/2 soldier. It has Shadow, so it can block or be blocked only by other creatures with Shadow. And if it attacks, just attacks, all other creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. I like how its 2 abilities work with each other because since it has Shadow, you can attack with it without worrying about losing it to a blocker
Yeah.
and get multiple uses out of its ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're now starting to see this is another con. Now, this is before strongholds before they started color coding the symbols
Yeah.
to indicate rarity. This feels like it doesn't have common energy. It has rare energy to me.
You think? Yeah.
Current market
It's
price
uncommon.
$2.77. What is it? Look it up on Gatherer real quick. Is it a rare?
I bet it's an uncommon.
I was gonna say uncommon energy, but
I
then I
think I even
switched.
might have ordered one of these at one point.
It's
Oh,
it's
no. Wait,
only been printed once.
it is a rare. You're right.
Okay,
My gosh, Steve.
nailed it.
Nailed it. $2.
You see some
Some of
other
these
Soltaris here too, you said.
Yeah, these
Okay.
decks, some of the decks I'm seeing a couple other Soltaris in there. There's a Soltari Trooper, which is 1 white, 1 colorless for a 1/1, and it's basically the same exact thing, except it only gives itself +1/+1 until end of turn. So
Okay.
I don't like this as much unless you really want to have like multiple of these shadow creatures and you want to use both of them. Um, the other one, what did I say, was Soltari Foot Soldier.
Soltari Foot Soldier. Soltari Foot Soldier, also from Tempest.
And this is just a 1, and it's a 1-drop, 1 white for a 1/1 with Shadow.
Yeah.
So, if you want that Shadow, you want that unblockability. Um, goes well with the champion, probably because, now you have unblockable creatures that are getting pumped by the champion.
hmm
So that's cool.
I do have a shadow deck. I have a soldier deck that I've been working on. You haven't faced it yet.
Oh,
It's currently all virtual. It's built in Moxfield only so far. And I'm still working on it, but it is a shadow soldier deck.
oh, nice. I liked your
And
Shadow deck.
it's built I guess I have two shadow decks. Yeah, you faced the black blue one.
It was black, blue, right? Okay. And then I think I remember after I played it, I was thinking I want to try to make black, white shadow because
Okay.
of some of these Soltari white creatures. But I guess
I,
that's what you're doing.
I have a black red one,
Oh, okay.
which you haven't faced yet, and it runs a
Oh,
Marton Stromgold.
oh, okay. He's a soldier?
I don't remember actually,
Oh,
but he's in there because of his pump ability. When Marton attacks, all other attacking creatures get plus star until end
okay.
of turn, where stars equal to the number of other attacking creatures. So I don't even need him to survive. The plan is to do early damage with 1 and 2 drop shadow creatures, and then by the time you play Marton on turn 4, already have a few additional shadow creatures on the board that have hopefully already done some damage, and you just do 1 attack to push through.
Yeah, now they'll
And
get
Marton
pumped.
doesn't need to survive. The
Yeah,
soldiers, the shadow soldiers will get through.
he just pumps the shadow soldiers.
He
Yeah, that's
pumps the
awesome. I
shadows.
like that. He's a knight, by the way. He's a legendary human knight.
I do remember that they didn't roll the knights over into the soldiers, right? The
Yeah,
knights are still a different class.
yeah.
Kind of bothers me a little bit, but maybe not. Maybe it would have been just too much in the same class if they had turned all the knights into soldiers too. I don't know.
Yeah. And I can see a difference, when you think about like thematically, like, knights are kind of special. They have like
Yeah.
there's something else going on there above just like being a
Yeah,
soldier.
I get it. Okay, so those are the Soltaris.
Yeah, and there's more Soltaris too. Those were just a couple that I thought I'd pull up or that I've seen, in some decks.
I'm
Uh
seeing Soltari Monk, Lancer,
yeah,
Priest,
yeah.
Trooper, Champion, Crusader, Emissary, Visionary,
Right.
but yeah, some are better than others.
So I have no idea, like, I didn't do a wide comparison of all the different Soltari. I assume Monk is not a soldier, Lancer is a knight. You know,
That's right. Oh yeah, not all of them are soldiers actually.
yeah.
Okay.
There was one in there that sort of looked like it might be a soldier, but I forgot what it was. Was there
Priest
a
is a cleric.
crusader or a champion or something you said?
Yeah, so there are Soltaris. There's a bunch of Soltaris, but they're not actually all soldiers. Yeah, I've seen a knight, I've seen a cleric.
Oh, we talked about champion already. That was the one we just talked about. There's Soltari Crusader too, and that's a knight.
Knight. Okay.
It has shadow and is pumpable though. So
Okay.
okay.
What's coming next, Alex?
Okay, Deru War Chief. This is one that I found a little while ago, and I was like, oh man, gotta put this in the soldier deck.
The Darus are a group of soldiers.
Well, not all of them, because some of them were clerics and stuff too. But
The Daru are a group. Some of them are soldiers.
yeah, there you go. Daru War Chief is 2 white, 2 colorless, only a 1/1, but it has 2 abilities. Soldier spells you play cost 1 less to play, 1 colorless less, and soldiers you control get +1/+2.
Okay.
So, a lord type ability for your other soldiers, or including himself. So actually, he's 2/3 then
hmm
when you cast him. Uh,
hmm
I should point that out. But yeah, pumps all your soldiers by 1 power, 2 toughness, and makes them all cost 1 less to cast.
Okay. Strong. Casting cost reduction and an anthem effect.
Yeah. Probably the only downside I would say is that, like, some of these are like 1 white, 1 drops, or 2 white or something. So you might
That is
not
true.
benefit from that. But let's pay attention to the rest of our list as we go through and see how many of them have colorless mana. I think most of them do.
There's the War Chief. That will be your anthem effect for your soldier deck.
Yeah. Well, I'll move on to one that doesn't have colorless mana, just for the juxtaposition. uh, Whip Quarter. This seems to be one of the most popular soldiers in Premodern.
Very good. I like this a lot. Even, just a white weenie deck. Nothing to do with soldiers, not a
Yeah.
clan build at all. The whip
Right.
corridor is something that I consider.
Yeah, it doesn't affect soldiers specifically or anything. But it costs 2 white to summon. Had trouble figuring that out. 2/2, and it has morph, you can pay it for 1 white as a 2/2 morph creature and turn it over for 3 colorless. And then you can pay 1 white and tap it to tap target creature. So, it has obviously has the morph stealthiness going for it, so they don't know what it is, and you can flip it over and use its ability as a surprise. And it can just tap other creatures down to make way for your blockers or for defense so that they can't attack you.
It's a 2/2 with a special ability. That's my wheelhouse. I love to see
For
a
2.
great 2/2 creature for 2 with a special ability. Yes. And this is a good one, especially if you want to put it in a white weenie decks, because sometimes the bane of a white weenie deck is one big giant creature facing you down on the other side of the board, and the whip quarter
Yeah,
can just tap
something with trample or whatever, and this guy
just
can
tap them down.
tap it down. Uh, and also, like because it has the morph thing, you end up paying 4 mana that way, which sucks. But if you absolutely need to, you can get this down on turn 1, or if you're trying to cast something else with it, turn 2, just for the 1 mana. So there's
I
some.
never find myself taking advantage of the morph mechanic.
It depends on the card for me, because I've seen some where I'm like, I probably won't use that,
Yeah.
but then some it's like, oh, it's like pretty good. I'm going to talk about one I think today actually from my commander deck.
But
Um,
actually, I'm looking at this, and yeah, if you have your whip quarter in a white weenie deck, you might want to just morph them so you can curve out, like depending on what
yeah,
is in your opening hand.
yeah,
So this gives you an ability to curve out where you might not have been able to curve out with your hand. Like if you don't have a 1 drop already, and you have a 2 drop, you play the whip quarter for 1 as a 2/2 creature. No, sorry.
yeah.
No, you got to play it for 3 colorless as a 2/2 creature. You got to pay 3 colors. You got to morph it later. So if you don't have a 3
Wait,
drop
you
in your
pay.
hand,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you pay the 3
yeah,
colorless first. I had it
yeah.
backwards.
If you have a 1 drop in your hand, you play that on turn 1. If you have a whip quarter and another 2 drop in your hand, you can play the other 2 drop. And if you don't have a 3 drop in your hand, you play the whip quarter for 3.
Okay, so the
So
whole
you
thing
can
I
still
said
play
was
a creature
probably
1, 2,
not
and 3.
really true.
What'd you say?
So the whole thing I was pointing out was probably not really true.
I can't remember what you said. I forgot
Well,
already.
I was talking about playing it for 1 mana as
Oh yeah,
help you
yeah.
do stuff on curve.
No, you have to play it for 3 mana
Yeah.
as a face down creature. You can then morph it for 1. But it is still true that this gives you the ability, depending on your hand, to play things out on curve where you might not have been able to play them out on
It's
curve
better now
before.
for a multicolor deck. So, if you don't have the 2 white available, you can
Oh
use
yeah, of
colorless
course.
and 1 white to get it out.
Yeah, that's all. That also.
So that's more of the, I guess, advantage for being able to pay the 3 and then the 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool card, does a couple neat things, and you know, because of that, the multicolor, like how it can fit into a multicolor deck, and because of what it doesn't have to be just soldiers, like you said, it can go into lots of different kinds of decks.
Oh, also have to point out he's a soldier rebel.
Oh,
We have not learned about the rebel decks, but
yeah,
there was a time after we stopped playing regularly where I think the rebel decks were
got
running rampant
yeah, it got
in
really strong.
standard, where they were doing really well in tournaments.
Okay,
So
okay.
we'll learn more about that later.
I wasn't even paying attention to this being a rebel too.
He is a soldier rebel.
Okay, some more soldiers. Want to keep going?
Yeah.
Deft Blade Elite.
I have no idea what this is. Deft Blade Elite.
This is from Legions.
Okay.
It's
I'm
another
not
one
as
drop.
familiar with the Legion's card pool. You don't see
Yeah,
these
me
as
neither.
often.
It's 1 white soldier. It's 1/1. It has provoke. When it attacks, you may have target creature defending player controls untap and block it if able. So you can force a creature to block, even a tapped creature. And then it also has another ability: 1 white, 1 colorless. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by Deft Blade Elite this turn. So it's a 1 drop, and then when
Yeah.
you attack with it, if you pay 2, you can completely neutralize one of your opponent's creatures. Um,
I like
Stop all
this.
the damage.
I've never seen it before. But you can kill people's I mean, this is removal on a stick. You can kill people's birds of paradise. You can kill Llanowar elves.
Yeah.
You can maybe their lackey gets through with one hit, but then you can pick off their lackey with the Deft Blade Elite. You can pick off their goblin tokens, their 1/1 goblins.
Yeah. And if you do this to someone's birds of paradise, and then they giant growth it to get you, you can just pay the 2 mana to negate the damage and start over.
I've never played a creature with provoke before,
Neither have I.
but I'm liking Deft Blade Elite. I haven't built a pre-modern white weenie yet.
I didn't realize until I read that out loud that you can untap the creature too if it's already
Yeah.
tapped. So that's nice. They have their bird out that they tapped for mana, and now you can still make it be a blocker.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. And then
I haven't built
obviously you could use this with things like giant growth yourself, other things to like pump something and trample through.
uh-huh.
I don't know if you have enchantments that do make some kind of like cockatrice type effect to do like a, lure cockatrice effect, kill some creatures that are too big for this to normally kill. Yeah.
I haven't built pre-modern white weenie yet. I will at some point. Everybody got to build a white weenie deck sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this makes the cut yet. I'd have to sit down, really go through the entire card pool. But
It
I
definitely
like this.
depends on what other cards
I
I have
like
in
it.
the deck for me.
Yeah.
But I could see it having a place if I had some other stuff to work with it.
Okay.
I'm gonna just for out of curiosity, I'm gonna look that up real quick on Gatherer to see if there's
The Deft Blade.
it's rated 3.981.
There we go. The
Um,
people enjoyed the Deft Blade Elite.
okay, so right off the bat, people say early on you'll be more than willing to trade your elite for your opponent's Llanowar elves, etc. So that's
I'm so
good.
smart.
Yep. Provoke will only get better as the game goes on with all sorts of lords like Darrow, War Chief, and Field Commander, which I don't know. I hope
I'll type that in real quick. Field
modern
Commander.
card.
Maybe it has maybe it also has an anthem effect. Field Commander?
Yeah, but the link was broken, so I think they called the card the wrong thing.
Yeah, because there is no Field Commander.
Yeah, so he means something else in any case. with lords running around, the elite will get to expect respectable size fast and suddenly be able to eat opposing creatures.
Maybe he meant Field Marshal, the soldier that we discussed from Cold Snap last episode.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
Other soldiers get +1/+1 and have first strike.
Good memory. He mentions gust cloaking for 2 mana too, which is a neat way of putting it for his special ability because it's like those gust cloak cards we talked about.
Okay.
Some of which are soldiers, by the way. There you go. Basilisk Collar is something like I was talking about. That's equipment, so it's a new card, but equipped creature has death touch and lifelink.
And lifelink. Okay.
Looks like there's a Fallout version of this card too. I put the collar on the dog.
Collar up dog meat.
So that's Deathblade Elite. Thought pretty interesting.
No, I dig it.
Next we have Catapult Squad. This one's in a lot of decks.
This almost sounds like a goblin soldier. I'd imagine them catapulting each other.
It's actually Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, really? Okay. I see it.
See it? Okay. This is a way for you to get some direct damage done in your white soldier deck. It's 1 white, 1 colorless for a 2/1 soldier. You may tap 2 untapped soldiers you control. Catapult Squad deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature.
Okay.
So it's some creature removal that you pay for by tapping your soldiers. And there's no limit on, you don't have to tap this card. So you can tap 4 soldiers to deal 4 damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a card that gets stronger as the game goes on.
And strong with token creatures, which,
You can do this at any time. You could do this at the end of your well, I mean, you could leave everything open,
right.
wait for your opponent to attack, tap everything,
Yeah, do this before your untap phase.
then untap.
Yeah. So pretty good.
Okay.
Gives you some. Oh wait, it has. I'm sorry. It has to be for two attacking or blocking creatures. So
Yeah. So the only thing is it depends how defensive you want to go with it. It forces you to be a little bit more defensive with your white weenie strategy because you can't just be attacking relentlessly every turn. If you want to use a catapult squad,
you have to leave something untapped. Yeah.
you have to leave creatures untapped. You have to not attack unless you have another card that allows you to untap your stuff.
True.
But then you got to pair it with things. I don't know. I don't know how I
But
feel about
some
catapult.
soldiers also have like vigilance, and there's cards that give them vigilance, so
Yeah.
that can be good.
Okay.
That's a nice synergy. And also, I was thinking, this doesn't say anything about like, there's no summoning sickness restriction here. So if I cast a soldier, I can't attack with it that turn anyways because it's summoning sickness, but I could still use this card to tap it for the damage.
That's true. And actually, what I'm thinking about now is probably the best way to use this is to pair it with a token generator. If you generate a lot of soldier tokens and 1/1 soldier tokens,
Mhm.
then you might
Yeah.
have a lot of things to tap.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, you have a lot of 1-drops too. So, horde of small creatures, and maybe some of them aren't too crucial to your overall attacking or blocking strategy, so you don't mind losing them for the turn.
Okay. It's the kind of card that might not make it into my 60 card constructed soldier deck, but I would like to put it into like a commander deck where I have a bunch of one-offs. This
Okay.
is unexpected.
Okay. Looking at one deck has 4 of them in it.
Wow. Okay.
Other deck has 4 of them in it.
Whoa. Where are these decks coming from?
These are
TC
just 2
decks or
Huh?
TC decks or another site where you're looking
No,
at 'em?
one's from MTG Goldfish, one's from MTG decks.
Are they people's?
They're just random decks. I don't know, like tournament winning decks or
Okay.
anything like that. Yeah, but I think it sees some use.
Okay.
Next one I also like a lot is Longbow Archer. We've talked about this on here.
Yeah, I love this guy.
Visions card. He's a Zalfirian Archer.
I don't know if people play
Well,
them
that's
any
the first
longer,
one. Huh?
but yeah, this is a 2/2 for 2 with 2 special abilities. Again, my wheelhouse things that I love. 2/2s for 2 with special ability.
First strike, and it can block creatures with flying. So, I mean, those are both 2 really good abilities.
Yeah. And
Once you
back
get
in the
the
day,
then
if you were playing it with anthem effects,
Yeah.
this could take out a Sarah Angel,
Now
could
it's an
take out
Angel Killer.
a Sengir Vampire, which that's where my head always goes.
Right.
Sarah Angel and Sengir Vampire.
Right, yeah.
I know that's not where people's
Deal with
heads
is a
go
4/4
any
flyer.
longer, but that's what I think about.
Right. It's our old school thinking. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, not much to say here. It's just, really good bargain for the mana. It looks like it's getting ready to shoot a Macy's Day Parade float dragon.
It's a Drake.
Drake? How do you know it's a Drake?
I don't know.
No.
It's probably a full-grown dragon, right?
Oh, you're saying because it's up close. I was thinking it's like far away.
Yeah. It could be either, whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Okay. Getting through most of them here. We have a few more to go. 4 more white soldiers. Enlistment officer is the next one.
Enlistment officer. He sounds professional.
Yeah, he's from Apocalypse. It doesn't really look like an enlistment officer.
No.
Looks like
A rabid lunatic.
fighting barbarian soldier guy on the battlefield. There's no pens and paper here.
I hear enlistment officer. I expect like I'm walking into
Yeah, an office.
a Marines. I'm walking into enlist into the Marines, and then there's an old guy with gray hair and a pen and paper saying, "How can I help you, young man?"
Yeah,
Not this psychopath swinging daggers in the air.
with a weird doll face. What's going on with his face?
He
Is
does
like
have a
mask
beard.
on, or
He doesn't
Red
have gray
Eye
beard.
Blood.
Actually, I don't know if he has a gray beard, if that's face paint. Anyways,
Anyways,
tell me what
getting
he
into a
does.
slightly higher casting cost card here, but I think you'll see why. It's 1 white, 3 colorless for a 2/3 with first strike, and when it comes into play, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all soldier cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library.
Okay. Okay. So you were talking about Daru Warchief earlier, and I was like, oh, there must be a Warchief cycle. Well, there doesn't need to be a cycle, but maybe there's a cycle.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about Goblin Warchief.
Mm,
Goblin Warchief is the card that makes your goblins cost 1 colorless less. And then you also reveal the next 4 cards of your library. You put all the goblins revealed in your hand. You put all the non-goblin cards into the graveyard.
okay.
So it has the casting cost reduction ability, same as Daru Warchief, but its second ability is much better. But now we have a soldier from another set that provides that function for soldiers. And the Warchief is very strong for goblins. It gives you card advantage in goblins.
Yeah, and this gives you, yeah, same thing. You get some card draw in white, where you might normally be having trouble getting that in a white weenie deck or a white soldier deck.
Yeah. I pulled this up on Scryfall because the art's always higher resolution. I wanted to see if he had a beard here.
Oh, okay.
It is not a beard. It appears he's been huffing spray paint. That's what I think has been happening. And that's why he looks like an absolute lunatic.
I can't tell where the like if you look around the eyes, I think maybe it is a mask,
He
or that's just
painted
the nose piece, maybe.
he painted his eyes and then he
Painted.
huffed paint. Anyways.
Anyways,
Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all soldier cards revealed this way into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library. This is very good. I've never seen it before. Maybe it's just because people don't play Soldier Clan decks very often because they're just
yeah.
underpowered compared to other clans, so you just don't see them.
But
Goblins,
I like
elves,
this.
but
It
it's
already
very
has
good.
first strike, and it's draw up to 4 when you play it.
It's very good.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
using this, it sort of opens, maybe some other doors or possibilities as far as what kind of deck you want to construct. Maybe you want to have some stuff with some like shuffling or tutoring effects so that you know what's on top of your library, or that if you had to put something good on the bottom, you can shuffle it then to get it back in the mix.
I screwed up, Alex. The Goblin War Chief doesn't allow you to draw the next 4 cards
Oh,
and keep the goblins. The Goblin War Chief gives all goblins you control haste.
okay.
The card I'm thinking about is Goblin Ringleader,
Ringleader. Okay.
which is also in Apocalypse. So I wonder if there is a sort of
Now this,
cycle from Apocalypse that do this thing. They're just not all called War Chief or
well,
whatever.
this card has the same casting cost as Enlistment Officer. So maybe the
Yeah.
cycle is like Enlistment Officer, Goblin Ringleader, and 3 other things that help you draw cards if they're on top of your library.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Apocalypse yet. I'm sorry.
I don't either. We'll learn one day.
Yeah. And they're on commons too, so they're not like expensive, so I can't really look up the like most expensive cards in Apocalypse.
But okay, I was unaware of Enlistment Officer. Maybe I would like to try one out in my Shadow deck. Maybe.
Maybe.
I like the card. I like the card advantage. I like the card draw. Because that's good. I've heard that's good in Magic the Gathering. If you can draw more cards than your opponent, I heard it's usually a good thing.
If you have like fetch lands and some effects like that, you could use those earlier on to thin out your deck of like lands and stuff, and then
Mhm.
use this as a later gameplay when
Yeah.
you think maybe you'll have more soldiers
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. Land tax. Also thin out your deck. Can't
Okay.
run that any longer in Premodern, but
You
you
know.
can in middle school.
And then obviously if you tutor for a card and put it on top of your library with like worldly tutor or whatever, and then you can cast this and you'll get at least one. and you get the one you want.
Okay, I like
So
your
yeah, pretty
enlistment
good.
officer.
I wouldn't put 4 of them in, but
No.
pretty cool.
21 cents.
Might be good to play with if you had some kind of defensive effect that put a creature back, like say you try to lightning bolt something of mine, and I have something that can put a creature on top of its owner's library to save it, then I draw it again with this, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anything like that though.
If you want to do that, okay.
If I want to do it. Okay, next card, Intrepid Hero.
I'm learning new things. I did not know enlistment officer. I don't know intrepid hero either.
I didn't know this either.
I don't know the next one you're going to talk about either.
This is an Urza's Saga rare, costs $1.
What?
Two
$1.79.
Yeah, sorry. 2 colorless, 1 white. It's a 1/1. Tap to destroy target creature with power 4 or greater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a reprisal on a stick.
I was going to say retribution of the meek on a stick, but this reprisal on a stick is better.
No, they're both the same, but reprisal is targeted and retribution of the meek is all creatures with power
Yeah.
4 or greater.
Yeah. That's why this is your example is better.
But yeah, and then I was going to mention those 2 cards later on, but I think I'll just point them out now. Reprisal and Retribution of the Meek both seem to be used in some soldier decks, at least in the sideboard. And it fits well with the white weenie theme because like your creatures, at least Retribution of the Meek, like your creatures won't be big if you haven't pumped them or you're playing in a style where you don't pump them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would probably sideboard this card. So yeah, that makes sense that you also see people sideboarding Retribution of the Meek and Reprisal instead of main decking it.
Yeah.
Reprisal, yeah, we've talked about this before. 1 colorless, 1 white, instant, bury target creature with power 4 or greater. So I like that it doesn't have to be attacking or anything, just bury target creature. It is a worse than Swords to Plowshares, but if you've already used 4 Swords to Plowshares, this could take up another spot. You need it. Retribution of the Meek, nice for a commander game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because it blows up everything greater than 4. Retribution of the Meek, 2 colorless, 1 white. Sorcery from Visions, bury all creatures with power 4 or greater. Goes up and down in price because it's reserve list. So when people start buying out reserve list cards, it goes up to $20 and then it comes back down to 5, and then it goes back up to $20 and then it goes back down to 5. So it's down at 5 now. This would be a good time to establish a giant Retribution of the Meek position because eventually, sometime within the next 5 years, it will go up to $20. You can definitely, with zero risk, no risk at all, risk free,
You can set your watch by it.
quadruple your money within 5 years.
Yeah.
This is not financial advice.
No. Anyways, Retribution of the Meek. Fun card, good card, like you said, for commander. Can definitely swing the board state if your opponent gets ahead of you. They have a couple big baddies. Retribution.
Next soldier, Alex. I don't know this one either.
Down to like 2, probably. Master Decoy.
From Tempest. No memory of it, but I'm pulling this up. I remember this art.
Yeah.
I do remember
Zebra
the art.
Man. He's a fancy Zebra Man.
Phil Foglio art.
I must have been looking at a different artwork for this if there is one, because I don't even remember adding this to the list now. Oh yeah, there's a different artwork for like
8th edition, 9th edition.
Yeah.
These are okay, but this is not as
yeah, the old one's cool. It's a zebra.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
He's a zebra.
This is just a soldier on a horse. Why would you play that when you could play the weird guy on a zebra?
So I'm pretty sure I have 1 or 2 of these in my old cards because I've looked at this and been like, I kind of want to use this, but it never made the cut. But in a soldier deck, maybe this could be useful. It's 1 white, 1 colorless for a 1/2, and you pay 1 white and tap it to tap target creature. So it's like the one that I forgot already that we talked about a
Whip
minute ago.
quarter.
Was that whip quarter?
Is it like whip quarter? Because
Yes,
I'm
yes,
I'm,
it's
I'm
like
looking
whip
at this and I'm trying to remember exactly what whip quarter does. I'm like, is this a
No, so whip quarter was 2/2,
okay?
and it had the morph potential for casting it, but
And
then
it had
its
the
casting
morph.
cost is 2 white normally. So
Yeah, but I don't think that I care about the morph.
probably
I
not.
think
Like, yeah, that's a minor effect to
I
it.
think if I'm playing a deck that isn't mono white, I play Master Decoy instead.
Oh yeah, yeah. If it's not mono white, then yeah, we probably.
I
Well,
don't
yeah, I
think I've
guess that
ever.
makes sense because instead of doing the morph thing to get around the the color restrictions, you're just playing a different card that has a you know more friendly casting cost up front.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of
The
doing the
morph
morph thing, you just do the thing where you don't play the card and you play a different card instead.
that thing.
Yeah, I like Master Decoy. I
Uh,
don't
only, huh?
think I ever see this in a deck.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
must have seen it
that's
in decks because
maybe.
you that's how you put together this list, right?
Yeah, yeah. This was from if I looked up like on MTG decks, Premodern Soldiers. There's not a whole lot of cards that come up that way, but this is one of them at the bottom.
Okay.
So it's in one deck, it says.
Okay.
It's also 1/2 instead of 2/2, like the whip quarter, but you're probably going
Yeah,
to be using its ability more than like attacking or defending with it. So
that's what I think.
yeah, but not a
Okay.
bad way to shut down an opponent's creature.
Okay.
And okay, I think this is our last one for now. Nomads Encore
Our last white pre-modern soldier
for the day.
for part 2 of our pre-modern soldier
Part one.
discussions. Why am I typing in nomads pre-dormern? Nomads and core.
you're,
It's nomads and core.
you're all mixed up. You're
I remember these
discombobulated.
fellas.
So we've talked about this before, but good card. It's I think Shaman Encore is maybe the one we talked about a little more because it's maybe a little stronger.
Yeah.
But this one's a soldier, so it's 1 white, 1/1. You can spend 0 mana to redirect 1 damage from nomads to a creature you control. So any amount of damage it takes, you can just distribute to your other creatures.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And usually I think this is often run in the deck with Shaman. Is the Shaman the card that can accept the damage?
Oh, it can send damage to another creature, so you could send it to the note. Oh, well, never mind. Sorry.
Redirect 1 damage from Shaman and Core to a creature you control. So that's the same effect that the Nomads and Core have,
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes, correct.
And then redirect to Shaman and Core all damage dealt to any one creature.
Yeah, so you
And it
can
can
use,
redirect to itself too. Okay.
yeah, you can use it then with a creature that doesn't have the ability like Nomads or Shaman does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Nomads are one part of the Shaman
Yes.
and they're 1/1 instead of 1/2. Okay.
Yeah. But they're a soldier. And there's a few other Encore that are soldiers too, I think. One has Trample. Um, but I don't think any of them are really. I think Shaman and Nomads are the best ones.
Okay. Okay, the Nomads and Core. What do I love, Alex? I love Whip Quarter. I love Enlistment Officer. I really like Daru War Chief, Longbow Archer, Master Decoy.
Mhm.
I think those are my favorites.
Okay.
And I love the Soltaris. If I want to do the shadow thing. Sometimes I
I
do
like
want to do the
yeah,
shadow thing.
the main Soltari, the champion, I like him a lot. That's pretty cool.
I will be doing the shadow thing at some point when I work a little bit more on that red white pre-modern soldiers deck. with Marton Stromgold. I put that together because I was really looking for a place to play Marton Stromgold.
I'm looking at Intrepid Hero still, and I'm thinking I like it. Especially in a multiplayer game, you might get a lot of use out of that, like repeatedly killing 4 power creatures, 4 or greater power creatures.
Yeah, definitely in a multiplayer game.
Yeah, it'd be a good commander card.
Everybody will probably try to kill it though.
Yes, it'll die pretty quickly.
Although
maybe one of your opponents is playing a small creature deck too, and they don't care. But then it's no good.
And maybe they have counter spells. And then they counter, everybody else tries to kill it, they counter it to help you out.
Okay, well, those were the white, mostly pre-modern soldiers that I noticed and wanted to highlight. Like I said, I'm sure we missed a few. And there's a few we're going to talk about next week that fit into some multicolor categories, other colors, and some special soldiers that are a little out of the box.
Some multicolor. Some blue, which maybe the blue will be birds, or maybe they'll be merfolk. There's some that are green. I don't know if there's any that are totally green, but there are some that are green and white that I can think of that we might be talking about next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And what else did you say? Red. Are there mercenaries? And are those mercenary soldiers? Did we say that?
That's a good question. I don't think mercenaries count as soldiers.
Okay.
But there are a few red soldiers.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see some next week, maybe.
Yeah. But next I want to talk about some lands and spells that go along with these soldiers.
Lands and spells.
Yeah. Lands, we have 3. The first one, I mean, I'm just going to mention, and we don't need to talk about Kildoran Outpost, because everyone knows this card from Alliances and what it does.
Everybody knows this from, what am I going to say? From episode 75 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. It's actually our thumbnail, Kildoran Outpost. In the thumbnail, the soldier's right there, where he is in the artwork, and then Alex is right there, and then I'm right there. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, this one's a no-brainer. It generates tokens for you for your soldier deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
What are you going to do with those? What are you going to do with those tokens?
I'm going to pump them.
You could pump those tokens?
I'm going to tap them.
You could tap them for what?
The catapult.
Exactly, the catapult squad.
Yeah.
You could
I can sacrifice them if I'm playing multicolor deck.
That's true. You can do that also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stalling for a second because I'm pulling up episode whatever of the Old Mage MTG podcast. There we go. Look. Kildoran Outpost.
Oh, okay.
Featured in episode 75 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. 222 views. Can we get that to 223 views? Potentially. Anyways. Kildoran Outpost. Very strong card.
Yeah.
Part of a cycle from the Alliances set. The replacement lands. Definitely one of my favorite cycles of all time.
Yeah. Classic. I still want to get a Lake of the Dead.
A powerhouse in the Alice format. A powerhouse in Ice Age Alliances constructed back in the day. I do have a Lake in the Dead of the Dead, Alex. Don't be jealous. I did pull it out of a pack in 1995, 1996, 1995, maybe.
Don't make me remember now.
I did not buy a whole box of booster packs like you did that you split with BJ. I did not only pull high casting cost, unplayable artifacts. I did pull a Lake of the Dead. I'm sitting on that Lake of the Dead. It has appreciated significantly since I purchased it for the cost of a booster pack in 1995 or 1996.
What are they now? Because I know they were up. I'm sure it's down from where it was.
I think like $50,000, something like that. I could be wrong.
$50,000.
I'm hoping it's $50,000.
June 96, Steve. June 96. Because 95, I think, was just like all taken up with like Homelands and
Chronicles.
Chronicles and Fallen Empires was like the dead time.
Oh, I should have exited my Lake of the Dead position.
Yeah.
$77.58. Current market price was $200.
Jeez. Spooky.
See this face? See this face of this skeleton buried under the Lake of the Dead? That's my face when I see that the price of my Lake of the Dead has collapsed from $200 to $77 in just the course of 3 years. Anyways.
Yeah. Hard times.
Oh, well. I mean, I don't invest in cardboard.
Yeah.
What I do with cardboard is I work really hard to earn money, and then I waste it on a children's card game, and then I just put those cards in a box, and then I put that box in my closet where they just sit. That's what I do. And then I'm gonna die,
And then I'm gonna die.
and then somebody's
Think
gonna throw
about
out the
all the
cards.
cards that have come down in value too now that you can afford. So your Lake of the Dead has lost value, but now many other cards are within your reach.
Yeah. Still not the Power 9, though. Still
Not
not
the Power
the
9. Keep
That's
going.
That's Keldron Outpost.
Yeah. Two other lands. We've mentioned before, I think. I'm sure we've mentioned this before. Daru Encampment, but this is, this one's made for soldier decks, and I've been wanting to try to use this for a soldier deck since I found out about it.
I forgot about this, but I do remember you showing this to me a long time ago. Might have been when
Really?
we very first started the podcast, like in the first 5 episodes or something, because I remember the art now. I thought it was just really
I
beautiful.
think it was early on, and then I tried to remember it in a different episode later on. I can't remember if I ever did or not, but what I like about this is you can just tap it for a colorless. It has no downside to come into play. You don't have to sacrifice anything. It doesn't come in tapped. You just tap it for a colorless, or you can tap it and a white to give a soldier +1/+1 until end of turn.
I like it. It's got kind of like Pendlehaven vibes, It's a
Yeah.
little bit different than Pendlehaven, but it's got Pendlehaven vibes. If it would
Yes.
be sweet if you could tap it for just a white instead of a colorless, but oh well, that's not the world we live in.
Yeah. Or if you didn't have to pay the white to give the +1/+1, it could be, a little better, but still good enough that I think it's worth throwing into some soldier decks.
And it's only 19 cents, so it's very affordable.
Yeah. It's an uncommon.
One reprint from Dual Decks, Elspeth versus Tezzeret.
Okay.
Onslaught. Okay.
Onslaught uncommon. Yeah. And then the third and final land that I know about, someone tell me if there are other lands that help or work with soldiers. Forbidding Watchtower from Urza's Destiny.
Never
Urza's
played this
Legacy.
card. When we came back to Magic, I was excited to see that there was another cycle of mainlands printed in Urza's Legacy.
Mhm.
I have been playing the Treetop Village, but that's mostly because I've been playing a lot of green. Forbidding Watchtower was the other mainland from Urza's Legacy that caught my attention. I like that it's a big fat body. It's a 1/5.
Yeah.
But haven't used it for anything.
Yes. One day I will learn the difference between Urza's Destiny and Urza's Legacy.
Urza's Destiny is an Erlenmeyer flask.
Flask, yeah.
Urza's Legacy is a
I
hammer.
just always mix them up when I see the symbol. But it comes into play tapped. You can tap it for 1 white, and you can spend a white and a colorless to turn it into a 1/5 creature until the end of turn. It still counts as a land. I think it's cool. It has cool art. It has like a Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back kind of vibe. And like you said, I like that it's a 1/5. It's a nice chunky body to block, hard to kill.
It's a very defensive card. Defensive control style decks, maybe.
Mhm.
Was where you might see these, where I might want to play it.
But even in a soldier or white weenie deck, I like it too because you have all these little creatures, but now you have something that's you can keep around as a big blocker while your other stuff is attacking.
Sarah's Sanctum. I want to pull up the art on Sarah's Sanctum real quick. Same
Yeah, it reminds me of
area.
that too. Yeah, I was gonna say some of these cards have this like very like orange yellow sky kind of look.
And also like floating pieces of
Yeah.
floating discs of earth, illustrated by Cirello. Forbidden Watchtower looks almost the same, but it's a different artist.
Oh,
It looks like a different perspective. Like it looks like the same. It looks like an image of the same area, but from a
yes,
different perspective.
definitely place. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. And then I forgot to mention, I don't think I mentioned this when I was reading it. It has it has a rata that now says soldier creature on it.
Oh,
So it turns
okay,
into a soldier, which is why we're talking
okay.
about.
1/5
So
white soldier creature.
yeah, turn it
So
into a
any
soldier when you have an anthem effect down, and now
yes,
it's a 2/6 or a 3/7 or something whenever you activate it.
any sort of anthem effect, this would benefit from those. Probably would not benefit from the reduction of casting cost from Daru War Chief, would it?
No,
If Daru
no.
War Chief is on the I didn't think so. Because yeah, this isn't a casting cost, this is an activation cost.
Right. But still cool. And I like the art on this so much. I'd really like to get one, and they're cheap, so I may as well.
I have a playset. I bought a playset of all these Urza's Legacy lands, and I've only used the Treetop Village. But yeah, they were all cheap, so I was just like, "Oh, let's
That's
pick these
cool.
up."
All right, yeah, so those are the lands I know about that are worth using with soldier decks, but there might be others.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
probably any kind of man lands could be mixed in. You could be playing Mishra's Factories, you know, that sort of thing. But I want to talk about a few spells, if you would like, Steve,
Okay,
that people
we got
use.
some spells.
Okay. So I mentioned Reprisal and Retribution of the Meek. Those work well with White Weenie. Um, one of the most common cards I think that gets used is Shared Triumph. This is a rare from Onslaught. It's an enchantment. 1 white, 1 colorless. When it comes into play, you choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1.
I may have just had 2 of these show up in my mailbox the other day.
We just talked about it a little bit ago, didn't
Yeah.
we? You and I?
They may be for my 5-color Anthem Slivers deck. That is
Oh,
the
yeah, maybe
creature
that was
type
that what we were
I would
talking about? Did I mention it for slivers or something?
I think I also talked about it I also talked about it when we were discussing, my ATOG commander deck because I was trying to
That's
decide.
what I said slivers, but I
Yeah.
meant ATOGs.
I was trying to decide if I wanted to go with Anthem effects for the ATOG deck, but I decided actually, I'm not sure what I was gonna do with Triumph because I kinda did decide to not go, like, heavy on the Anthem.
It's tempting though, because I mean, it's not gonna help your opponents.
I wasn't gonna go heavy on the Anthem because I was like, I'm working in the old frame card pool, so I really only have 11 ATOGs available to me, maybe 12.
Uh,
I can't remember if it's 13 total or 12 total, and 1 ATOG is new frame, Megatog. But whatever, I don't have all that many ATOGs, so I'm not just gonna go like full on creature horde Anthem effects. But I have decided to build my ATOG deck in an Enchantress shell, and this is also an enchantment,
mhm.
which a lot of Anthem effects are enchantments, so I don't know, maybe I will throw these in there too.
And it's low casting
We'll
cost,
see. It's low casting cost.
You're going kind of heavy white, aren't you?
I'm going mostly white, blue, green.
Yeah. Okay. So
So
that
it's
could fit.
and white, blue are my well, I don't know. I'm kinda even white, blue, green right now. And then
Okay.
I'm sprinkling a little bit of black, sprinkling a little bit of red, pretty much just so I can cast my ATOG, play Demonic Tutor, and a Lightning Bolt.
Okay.
But okay, this is a good pre-modern Anthem effect. Shared Triumph. Choose a creature type. You're probably not going to be facing a lot of soldier decks very often.
Yeah.
So
Now the next one, I think I like this even more. This one's cool. This is another rare from Onslaught. Mobilization.
I am not familiar. If I saw it, I've forgotten what it
We
does.
did talk about it once briefly.
Okay.
I was pretty surprised when I saw it because I was like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty solid."
yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
1 white, 2 colorless enchantment. It gives all your soldiers vigilance. Actually, it says attacking doesn't cause soldiers to tap, I should say. Um, and then you can spend 2 colorless and a white to put a soldier token into play, a 1/1 soldier token. So mana dump for late in the game, token generator, don't have to sacrifice a land like with the outpost, but you can also play this and outposts.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I like this. I think it's pretty cool. And giving them all, the equivalent of vigilance is good.
So you don't have to sack the land, which you do for outpost. It costs one more generic mana to generate a 1/1 white soldier creature token than outpost, which that cost can add up.
Yeah.
But you do get the vigilance benefit, which is very nice. I
And if you
love
have
vigilance.
6 mana, you can make 2 tokens in 1 turn.
That is true, yeah.
Small benefit.
Which you cannot do with the outpost.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
that's
think
pretty
what.
cool.
Trying
And
to
it's
think.
under $1.
Under $1. So okay, a good budget rare option from Onslaught for your soldier decks, pre-modern soldier decks.
Here's a similar card that I just learned about today, actually. I found this kind of by accident when I was putting together this list.
Really?
Ramosian Rally.
I don't know this at all.
Yeah, I had never seen this card before, ever, I don't think. It's from Mercadian Masks. It starts off sounding bad. It's 3 colorless, 1 white, and it gives all your creatures +1/+1 until end of turn.
Okay. Sounds
But
terrible.
yes,
It's an
but
instant.
if you
Okay.
control a planes, you may tap an untapped creature you control instead of paying its casting cost.
Okay.
So you can cast it for free by tapping a soldier token or whatever and give all of your creatures +1/+1
Okay.
at the end of turn.
So it's pretty much a free spell. It's pretty much a
Yeah,
free single turn anthem effect.
yeah.
Okay.
Not incredibly strong, but maybe a surprise that can help you out if you need it.
I was gonna say unexpected. Most people will not expect this card.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't have to have mana open to use it, which also helps with the surprise factor.
Yeah.
So
And it's not, so I'm seeing it's not a soldier specific card, but people probably just run it often or sometimes at least in soldier decks because they're mostly white decks. You could run this in any white weenie because you don't have to tap a soldier. You just have to untap an untapped creature. You have to tap an untapped creature.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything with a lot of stuff, you could play a white green elf type deck if you want,
Yeah.
and you'd be tapping those elves anyways for their mana. So kind of cool. Not super strong, but kind of cool.
I dig it. I dig it. Unexpected.
Neat card to learn about today for me. I was just happy about that. Let's see here. Decree of Justice.
This one's a beast. This one you
Yeah.
see in all sorts of decks. And this is, I mean, it's a finisher in a lot of different decks. A lot
Yeah.
of control decks, some mid-range decks, anything that can generate large amounts of mana, blue-white Tron. One of the decks that I tried to build right when we got back into Magic and found out about Premodern was a big mana angels deck. I just wanted to play big mana angels, and I wanted to run pearl medallions. Is that what they are? Whatever the white medallion is. I wanted to run Urza's lands,
Oh,
and
okay.
I just wanted to ramp out or play big fat decree of justices, play big fat angels.
Okay.
Never actually built it though, in paper.
That'd be fun though. This card's interesting because it has 2 different effects. Basically, you can use it for more mana to put multiple big angels into play, or you can use it for less mana to put a lot of 1/1 white soldier tokens into play.
Mhm.
But to go through it, it's 2 white, 2 colorless, XX. Whatever X is, you put X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying into play. So if you want 2 4/4 angels, you're going to pay 2 white, 2 colorless, and 4 more colorless. Its second ability says cycling for 2 colorless and 1 white. When you cycle it, you can pay X. If you do, put X 1/1 white soldier tokens into play.
When
So
I was
yeah, I mean,
miss
I don't know, pretty versatile. It's going to use a fair amount of mana, however you use it. But you have some versatility as far as if you want to just put out a few more weenies, or you want to go out with like a big late game. All of a sudden, I have a couple big 4/4 flyers.
yeah, when I was messing around with it, it was in a deck called Big Man Angels. I wanted to play out big fat angels,
Yeah,
multiple fat angels using Tron lands. I think most people play it for the soldiers.
for the soldiers.
Yeah.
It's probably more mana efficient that way. It's at least more achievable mana wise that way.
And not only do you get soldiers, you get card draw from it too. It replaces itself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't have the reminder text about cycling, so I completely forgot that I would draw a card when I did that.
Yeah, the soldier token generation, it's when you cycle Decree of Justice.
Yes, yeah. So you
So
get a card and X soldier token. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
it's a really strong card.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it around obviously in like deck lists and like comes up in heavily used cards and stuff.
But yeah, this is a great addition to, because I don't usually think of it as soldiers. I just think of it as a great win con and blue white control decks, but
Yeah.
great addition if you want to play soldier clans.
Okay.
Soldier clan. From Scourge, or rare from Scourge, very affordable too. $4.71 right now. It's on an upswing, people.
Uh-oh.
You could have
That's stayed
invested
flat
in
for a
this.
long time during all the dark times.
I know. I don't know what was going
Didn't
on, but
spike at all.
if you invested in Decree of Justice in 2021, you could pick them up for $1 and now sell them for $4.70. You could have 4 extra money. All you need to do is buy 5,000. That's not enough, actually. You need to buy 500,000 Decree of Justices for $1.
I'm wondering if it's because it hasn't been reprinted in a bit, because it has some reprintings, but it looks like the last one was 2020.
In 2020, yeah.
So
And right
maybe
after that,
it's
it started going up again.
in demand and they haven't reprinted it, I guess. I don't
No,
know.
Jumpstart 2022, which I don't
Oh,
know how
never mind.
big the Jumpstart
I can't
sets
read.
are.
Maybe they like the old art better. I don't know. But yeah, it didn't move at all, it looks like, during like 2020 and 2021.
Maybe this is increasing price with the increasing interest in the pre-modern format, and people want
Oh,
the
okay.
original
There you go.
art.
Organic demand. That's
Could
cool.
be. Could be.
Okay.
Good card, strong card.
Here's another cool spell.
Lots of versatility.
What?
Versatile.
I'm not sure if I knew about this card before or not, but I could use this in some other decks too. There's a Mercadian Masks card called Crackdown.
Yes.
2 white or 2 colorless, 1 white enchantment. Non-white creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during their controller's untap steps.
Yes.
So nice way to lock down your opponent's creatures. Bit of a sideboard card, It's not going to help you if your opponent's playing white, but pretty strong. Good
Playing a
commander
weenie
card.
deck, going the weenie route without a whole lot of Anthem, then this would be great because it's not going to affect your soldiers for the most part.
Yep.
Nickstone vibes.
Yeah. Good in commander.
Good in commander.
But yeah, that's correct.
There is no place for mercy in defense of our lives, says Tespon Cho Arim Executioner.
Okay.
Whatever those words mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Tespon or the Cho Arims.
Me neither.
Okay.
Okay. So those spells seem to be some of the most common spells in soldier decks and sideboards that I've seen. Also, Armageddon is in a lot of these decks. You get out to a nice presence of small creatures, destroy the lands, and then you're kind of have a bit of a lock. Mother
Classic-
of Runes.
Classic white
obviously-
weenie strategy.
Yeah. Mother of Runes, obviously a good idea. Give your creatures protection. This just goes well in any deck with white in it that has creatures. Sideboard cards with protection from colors. There are some soldiers we didn't talk about that have protection from red, protection from black, things like that. And people will play those. The last thing I want to talk about, I just figure I should mention it because it's kind of unique, but they're not very good.
I don't know this at all. I've never heard of this.
I mentioned one of these maybe in the context of my last commander deck because they're kind of defensive. But there's 3 cards that start with Opal. The best one is called Opal Acrolith from Urza's Saga.
Does something happen when people cast certain types of spells? Yes. Somebody commented one of these in the comment section of maybe one of our shorts. And I just glanced at it briefly and I was like, I have to think about that because I couldn't remember what we were talking about. But okay, let's go through
I
this
don't
one.
know either, but this has a bit of an ability like Blinking Spirit or something like that. So it might have been something like that we were talking about recently, like a lock with a creature that can't be targeted. But so this is from Urza's Saga, which also has some of the hidden cards that we know that start off as enchantments in green.
Yeah, yeah.
So this does something similar. It's 1 white, 2 colorless enchantment. Whenever one of your opponents casts a creature spell, it becomes a 2/4 guardian creature. That's just its creature type. It can still
Okay.
attack or do whatever. But it becomes a 2/4 creature if your opponent casts a creature. And then you can pay 0 to turn it back into an enchantment.
Okay.
So anytime it gets someone's going to kill it, you just like turn it into an enchantment again.
Okay.
An acrolith, by the way, is a statue made of a composite of different materials. I learned about this today.
Okay.
Um, in Roman times, I think primarily for certain cost-saving measures, if they had to have statues, they would have statues were often dressed in clothing. So the visible portions of the statue would be higher quality material like marble, the hands, the face, etc. And then underneath the clothing, that part of the
Styrofoam.
statue could be wood or something different.
Styrofoam.
Styrofoam, yes.
Roman styrofoam.
But they use like wood and gold and precious metals and stuff to inlay some of these statues for the more visible portions of them. And that's an acronym.
Is a guardian now a soldier?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that, but I'm guessing it probably is. That's
Okay.
probably uh let me look this up real fast.
That's Opal Acrolith becomes a 2/4 guardian creature if your opponent
Yes, it
casts a
becomes a
creature
2/4
spell.
soldier now.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
The other ones are Opal Avenger,
Yeah.
Urza's Legacy, an Urza set, but a different one. 2 colorless, 1 white, enchantment. When you have 10 life or less, if Opal Avenger is an enchantment, Opal Avenger becomes a 3/5 creature that counts as a guardian. So it just sits there looking pretty until your life drains away. And then it's like, okay, I'm here now. What do you
Yeah.
need? And then you're
I need
like,
something better than a 3/5
then you're
non-flyer.
like,
That's what
I
I need.
could have used you 5 turns ago, buddy. Go home.
Oh, this one I overlooked. I guess it doesn't matter because it's an angel and not a soldier. But there's another one from Urza's Saga, Opal Archangel. It turns into a 5/5 flying angel
I'm seeing
when
a
your opponent
bunch.
casts a
Yeah.
creature. Yeah. So
Oh,
there's a bunch of Opal creatures. I guess maybe these ones are the only soldiers
the
though that I
soldiers. Opal Caryatid. What's a
yeah.
Caryatid?
Caryatid, I think.
Caryatid.
Looked it up earlier. I also learned about this. It is a column that looks like well, I should say it is a statue that acts as a column
Okay.
or pillar. But yeah, it's a statue shaped pillar that holds up part of like a temple.
Okay. It's 1 white enchantment. When one of your opponents successfully casts a creature spell, if Opal Caryatid is an enchantment, Opal Caryatid becomes a 2/2 creature that counts as a soldier. This is like a very underwhelming
Yeah, nothing
hidden
special.
card.
Yeah, yeah. It's 1 for a 2/2. That's okay, but
It's 1 for a
out of
2/2 that your opponent has to cast a
yeah,
creature spell to turn into a 2/2.
right. And out of all these other soldiers we've looked at, yeah, I'd pick some other 1 drops over that.
Okay. Okay, these are all related, I guess, to Opalescence, that enchantment. They're all the Opal cards.
Oh yeah,
Opalescence,
okay.
the enchantment. Urza's Destiny,
Turns everything into
Flask. Each other global enchantment is a creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost. It's still an enchantment. Nothing to do with soldiers, but 3 Opal cards do turn into soldiers when your opponent casts a particular type of spells.
yeah.
Okay. Those were new to me. Opal Acrith, Opal Avenger, Opal Caryatid.
And
Okay.
that's what I have for you today on soldiers, Steve, on white, mostly pre-modern soldiers.
Okay, that was part 1. Pre-modern soldiers, the white ones. All pre-modern except for Acacian infantry. We went back to the early days to start out. We got one more part at least, soldiers from pre-modern era coming your way. Possibly 3. Some of the soldiers are going to be non-birds. Some might be birds. There's a lot of bird soldiers. They might get their own episode. I personally think they probably deserve their own episode. But that's it. That's the end of segment 1 of episode 81 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. That is the episode we're on, right, Alex? Yes, episode 81. Let's move on to episode 2 of the podcast today. Episode 2 is going to be our last
segment 2.
Damn it. Let's move on to segment 2 of the episode today. Segment 2 is going to be our last segment of the episode. It's what the last segment of pretty much every episode of the Old Mage MTG podcast is. It's the Old Mage MTG Commander Corner. This is where Alex and I build our commander decks. Last year, we built our first ever commander decks. This year, we're building our second ever commander decks. We're sticking with the old frame theme. I'm going old frame Atog. My Atog deck is called a deck. There aren't that many Atogs available for me. 12 or 13.
But you
One
have
of them's
clones.
modern frame, so I can't use it. What'd you say, Alex?
I said, but you have clones.
But I have clones. I got a clone right there. You see it?
And a Mistform Ultimus.
I got a Mistform Ultimus, which is every creature type, including Atogs. So I can sack it to my Atog. So far, I've added some Atogs, a clone. You'll see an Enchantress in here because I wanted some card draw. And I thought to myself, maybe I'm going to go the Enchantress route. So I put an Argothi Enchantress in, a Femref Enchantress in. And some of these Atogs eat enchantments. So I am building an enchantment deck inside of an Atog deck. Got a wheel here because I want to play out a lot of stuff. I want to play out my hand quickly. I want to sacrifice stuff. I want to refill my hand. The wheel does that. Since Atog is 5 colors, I'm also doing a little bit of 5 color good stuff here. I like Berserk as a creature-based deck. I'm going to kill you with creatures that are pumped and then maybe Berserked or Flung. I got some good removal in white, in green, and red available to me. Swords to Plowshares, Naturalized Disenchant, Lightning Bolt. Got a couple Mana Rocks, Valwar Stone, Soul Ring. Got some dual lands. I got a Strip Mine. And then I'm starting to build up my enchantments. I'm not sure exactly what enchantments I'm going to put in yet, but I got Enchantress's Presence for some more card draw. I got Cover of Darkness because as a Cover of Darkness comes into play, I choose a creature type, and creatures of the chosen type have fear. Nobody else is going to be playing Atogs. Seal of Cleansing, Rancor, because it's just awesome, and I can pair it with my Oratog to pump cyclically, generate +2/+2/+2/+2/+2/+2/+2 over and over again. No. Let me do that again. Generate +2/+0/+2/+0/+2/+0/+2/+0 over and over again until I run out of green mana to replay Rancor, and then I trample over you. Animate Dead just because it's a good card, and I feel like I'm playing a 4-player game. Somebody's going to end up with something sick in their graveyard that I want to steal with Animate Dead. What am I adding today? I got a few additions for today. One, I'm going to add a Birds of Paradise because I'm playing a 5-color deck. And I want a Birds of Paradise. I want to be able to consistently play out my Atog on turn 5. It's not going to happen all the time, but I want to increase the odds of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, you need a Birds.
So I'm putting in a Birds.
It's a no-brainer.
I have a playset of Alpha Birds of Paradise, so I'm adding an Alpha to my list. I have revised Birds of Paradise. And then I'm not going to add all of the Togs. I think I might take out 4 Tog. But there are a couple of Togs that I do want to add that I haven't added yet. Today I'm adding. I was going to say today I'm adding Thaumatog, but it's already here.
Oh,
So Thaumatog's already here. I won't be adding that today. I added it in a
was it?
previous
I think.
episode.
Are you sure you didn't just put it there right now and
I
you're like,
might
no,
have
it's already
just
here?
I might have just done
I think you just did it.
it. Just right now?
I think so because I don't remember
Well,
seeing it there, but I
it's
might be wrong.
recorded, so I'll find out afterwards if I did it or if I just did it like maybe a couple hours ago when I was messing around, or maybe episodes ago. Thaumatog, I'll read it out now just in case nobody knows what it is. It's one colorless, one green, one white creature ATOG 1/2. You can sacrifice a land to give it +1/+1 until end of turn, or you can sacrifice an enchantment to give it +1/+1 until end of turn.
Okay.
There's several ATOGs that eat enchantments. Oratog gets +2/+2. That's why I was saying +2/+2. I was right. If I feed the Rancor to Oratog, it does get +2/+2.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
right the
yeah.
first time.
Okay.
Oratog eats enchantments for +2/+2. Thaumatog also eats enchantments. It only gets +1/+1, but still. Phantatog eats enchantments, also for +1/+1. So I got 3 different Togs that can eat enchantments.
And Femorif Enchantress in here is just so awesome. Then it's like such a nice
Oh
combination.
yeah. Oh yeah. Ephemer of
Especially with
Enchantment with
Rancor. Now you're drawing your Rancor, draw, Rancor, draw, Rancor, draw.
exactly. And Rancor isn't the only enchantment that actually can come back once it's in the graveyard. There are others that I might put in too.
Mhm.
Rancor has the benefit that it only costs 1 mana because they screwed up when they printed it. And it's supposed to cost more mana than that.
Yeah.
But anyways, the other Tog I haven't put in yet that I am going to put in is Sarkatog. It has nothing to do with enchantments, but still might come in handy. It's one colorless, one black, one red, 1/2 creature ATOG. Remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. So it has a Psychotog-like ability.
Mhm.
And the other is sacrifice an artifact. Sarkatog gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it has an old school ATOG-like ability.
Okay.
Sarkatog's going in.
Yeah, and that's nice again with like sacrificing those enchantments,
Well, the problem,
sacrifice a bunch of enchantments to pump the one ATOG, then you can remove them from your graveyard to pump the other ATOG.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how this all works. I don't know. This deck, it'll come together, but I don't know if it'll come together well. I might get stomped most of the time, but I will have fun playing an ATOG deck.
Mhm. With
That's it.
Femoref too, huh?
That's it. That's all I'm adding today. Birds of Paradise and Sarkatog. I was going to add Thaumatog, but it's already there.
Okay. I was gonna say with Femoref Enchantress with Sarkatog 2 is kind of cool because you can empty out your graveyard and pump it like as much as you can, and
Mhm.
then that will cause you to draw. Oh wait, no, 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 sorry, that won't
Femaref is whenever an enchantment is put
go
into your
into the
graveyard from
graveyard.
play
Yeah, yeah,
drop.
I knew that. I don't know. I got mixed up.
But I can sacrifice enchantments to ATOGs that eat enchantments. I can
Yeah.
then draw cards with the Femaref enchantment.
And what I was gonna
Enchantress.
say then was, and then cast more cards to
Yes.
fill up your graveyard more, so that the Sarkatog has more stuff to
Yeah.
eat. You know what I mean?
If I have all these cards on the board, sacrificing the enchantments uh, will trigger the Femaref enchantments ability. They'll put more into my hand. I can use the Sarkatog to eat the ones that are in the graveyard. Hopefully, I've drawn some more from the Femarif that I can replay.
Yeah,
I
and then
can
now you can
repeat.
cast some
Yeah.
and like mid-turn fill up your graveyard even more. Yeah. That's
So
what I
we'll
meant.
see how well this all works. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
It's coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like mine is too. I'm excited about mine.
I was told early on that your deck is going to stomp mine.
Well, I mean,
Satan is going to stomp a deck, which is a very real possibility.
first, I'm not sure about that. I mean, who knows? Second, I mean,
Very real
that's not, I
possibility.
just want to point out that's not our exercise here necessarily. We're not trying to build decks against each other, just so everyone knows. We're just
Yeah.
kind of building decks that we think
They
are
look
interesting.
they look fun to us.
Yeah.
Uh I
Not a
gotta
battle.
find I gotta find your deck called Seaton's Power. You say Satan, I say Seton as in Seton Hall, because it's spelled the same. Seton Hall University's power. Commander decks. We have 4 commander decks. Alex, subfolder Alex. And Seton's
Fine
power.
subfolder navigation right here.
First commander deck you ever built, you went 5 color.
Yeah.
I went 3 color. Now I'm going 5 color.
And now I'm like, whoa, I gotta pump the
Now
brakes.
you're monocolor.
Back to basics for a minute.
Seton Croson Protector is your commander.
This is largely a druid deck. Seton allows me to tap untapped druids I control to add green to my mana pool, and I can do that even the turn they come into play, which effectively makes all of my druids cost 1 less to cast. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do some. I'm a little bit limited in what druids I have to pick, so I'm kind of just leaning into some of their abilities, which involves further tapping and untapping of things or searching for forests. I'm going to build up a pretty big mana base, I think, with some tappable creatures and a lot of forests that I bring into play or tutor for or whatever, and then can cast some pretty big things later on in the game, I think, or even like mid game. Today, there's a few things I want to talk about. It's hard for me to decide every week, but first I'm going to add a druid that is Caller of the Claw.
Caller of the Claw.
Yeah.
It generates bears.
It does. 2/2 bear tokens. Caller of the Claw is 2 colorless, 1 green. I'm going to look that up right here so I read the right text on it. 2 colorless, 1 green.
Creature elf.
That's weird. I thought this was a druid. I
2/2.
might have to rethink about that. I thought it was a druid.
Oh no, Alex thought he was adding a druid. He's actually adding an elf.
Jeez. But I do have some elf synergy in here too with like Priest of Titania and
Well,
stuff.
it is an elf druid. Are you looking at it on Gatherer?
Yeah, yeah. It just says creature
Oh.
elf, and I thought for sure it was creature elf druid. Oh well. I'm gonna stick with it for now. It's because I think it's still decently good in this deck. It's 2 colorless, 1 green. It has flash, so you can play it whenever you can play an instant. When it comes into play, you put a 2/2 green bear into play for each non-creature card put into my graveyard from play this turn. So if I use a lot of my like little weenie creatures and elves for like a big block, or they get nuked or something, I can bring out this dude and get a bunch of bears.
Yeah, if you get pyroclasmed or something, you flash out Caller of the Claw.
Yeah.
Bears coming at their face.
And if they did something to kill some of my creatures before they attack, I can use the flash to bring out blockers as an instant. So that's cool. Yeah, I thought it was a druid though. Dang, it should be a druid.
It should be an elf druid.
Is that a lady? I think it's a lady.
It's a lady elf in there.
Okay.
Not a druid. It's just a lady wearing a bear skin.
I botched my first card, Steve.
Oh my lord.
We'll go into the next one. So I was going to put in Verduran Enchantress for more card draw. But then I thought Enchantress's presence is the same casting cost, and it's harder to get rid of because it's not a creature. So maybe I should just put Enchantress's presence in instead of Verduran Enchantress if I'm not going to use both. I might just end up using both, but let's do Enchantress's presence for today.
Okay. Enchantresses. What am I doing?
I'm sorry for the listeners that we both have green Enchantress elements in our decks.
We're allowed to do whatever we want. There are no rules. We make the rules on the Old
and we don't have a whole lot of pre-modern cards to pick from, so
we both want. We're both allowed to go with Enchantress.
Old border cards, I mean, not pre-modern.
We are doing very different things. You're building Enchantress in a Druid shell. I'm building Enchantress in a Tagatog shell.
Yeah.
We're just both trying to generate some sort of card draw.
You just want cards, that's all.
In the same way.
Is that too much to ask?
What do you want me to do? You want me to play a goddamn Gem Day Tome? I could. Mana intensive though. Tome would be better for you, Alex, because you
Let me
have a lot
try
of
to
mana to feed
play
those
some
things.
Brain Geyser. I couldn't think of the card.
You want me to play some goddamn Brain Geyser? I could. I'm 5 colors,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to go light on the number of cards that require 2 colored mana.
Yeah. Wise for sure. Yeah. You gotta be
There's
careful.
one in
now.
particular that I want to put in, and I might do it, but I'm not happy about it. But I still might do it. Brain Geyser's not that one. What do you want me to do? You want to play goddamn Jalome Tome or whatever the hell that one's called?
Or whatever the hell.
The little book? The Antiquities book? I'm trying to get card drop people. And
Yeah,
Chances
we can card
is a
drop.
good way to do it. Especially when I was like looking at my ATOGs, and I'm like, my favorite ones eat enchantments. So I might be going enchantment heavy, and I'm like, why not throw in an enchantress? It just all came together that way. And then Alex saw what I was doing, and he was like, I'm gonna steal your idea.
Yeah, whatever. Stole my ideas. I've been doing
It's my
enchantress
novel.
stuff.
It's
for-
my novel idea to run enchantresses for card draw, Alex. Nobody's ever done that before. It's my
Okay.
idea.
One more card for today. I'm going to add a Broodhatch Nantuko because we talked about Morph before. I figure it's topical.
Broodhatch Nantuko. You're going more Nantukos. An additional Nantuko in the deck.
One
Not
more
your first
Nantuko. I might have another Nantuko or two up my sleeve. There's a couple of them that I keep finding. I'm finding some new ones here and there.
So far, you added the Nantuko Cultivator. Now we got the Broodhatch Nantuko.
Yeah. Nantuko Cultivator allows me to draw cards by pitching forests from my hand, which is cool. And he also gets counters. Broodhatch Nantuko is a druid this time. I didn't mess that up. It's 1 green, 1 colorless for a 1/1 insect druid. Whenever it is dealt damage, I may put that many 1/1 green insect creatures tokens into play. It also has Morph, cast it for 3 colorless, turn it face up for 2 colorless and 1 green. What I like about this is because you can use the Morph effect as an instant and block with it if they're attacking with something with a lot of power. And because unless I've messed this up, the way damage works is that the creature will deal all of its damage to that creature, even though it's only a 1/1, right?
That's the way I've been interpreting it, I believe.
They don't know what I have, and they attack with like the 7/7 creature.
Yeah.
Flip this over and block, and I get 7 1/1s.
We've looked this up multiple times.
We have.
Why can't I remember the exact ruling though? Like I know
think
that
we're right. I was
up,
just qualifying it in case I'm stupid for some reason, but I'm pretty sure
we might both be stupid.
might
It's a possibility.
It's that card that
be too.
replaced Drain Life because now it does damage, and you get life for the amount of damage it has done. So people are saying you could do like 10 damage to a 1/1 creature and gain 10 life with it that way.
And I remember looking this up when I was playing Saber Ants. But now I'm trying to remember, could it possibly work different with combat damage versus damage from spells?
Yeah.
That's
so maybe I'll look into this more.
So I'm just not entirely, that's what's in my head right now. And then it would definitely work. I think it would work different with tramplers too. Like if I trample with a 12/12, you're 1/1. 11 would go through to the player and 1 would go to the creature. Right? See what I'm saying?
I think so.
But non-trampling creatures, my current belief.
Forget about how the subtleties of the trampling rule work, because we've talked about this before, and there is something funny there.
We'll look it up. I'm just forgetting. I guess the question I have now is, is the damage dealt differently if it's a spell, a direct damage spell? If I fireball your Broodhatch Nantuko for 10, you generate 10 1/1 insect creatures.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. Now, but if you block a 10/10 non-trampler with your Broodhatch Nantuko, do you still generate 10 1/1 insect creatures?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. And then with trampling, I'd only generate 1 because the excess damage would spill over to me, I think.
These are my current beliefs too, but I can't remember the exact. I have to go find the exact rules. I can't find the exact rules. I can't think of them right now. Okay, Brood Hatch Nantuko, Insect Druid added to the green creature horde.
Mhm.
You're 15 creatures now.
All right.
2
How many
instants,
cards total?
4 enchantments, 39. 39 plus 4 is 43, plus 2 is 35, plus 15 is 50, plus your commander's 51.
I think it's
You only got
60.
half the deck built, right?
I think you counted, you went from 39 to 30, right? 39 plus 2 is 41, plus 4 is
39 plus
55,
1 is 40,
55,
plus creatures
60.
is 55. 61. That's exactly what I said. 61 cards.
Okay, so I feel good about that. I have a lot more cards to add. I already did my lands, which feels good to get out of the way.
Smart.
Smart. Well, last time it was a problem for me because I waited and then I was like, I don't know how many spots I have left in my deck.
I
Until
know
get
you kept struggling, and I was like,
Yeah.
Alex, just add lands.
Just put the lands in first, Alex. God, thinking.
Or just like do it on paper, like, and then, and you get an idea. So, okay.
So yeah, okay. I have other cards I'm thinking about, but now I feel pretty good about having room for most of them. So yeah, I feel like it's going along. My one worry about this deck is that I'll just like get out a couple little creatures and not do much, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing I'm worried about. So I'm going to put in some tutor effects still. I might work on that next time so I can get some big creatures reliably or some nasty creatures reliably.
I should add my tutor effects next time too, because I got some tutors I want to, as we discussed earlier in the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it then.
Okay, that's it for episode 81 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. We got more soldiers coming in the near future for you. Maybe 2 more episodes on soldiers, maybe 4 more episodes on soldiers. What are we going to do after that? I don't know. I haven't written the schedule for the next quarter yet. So if anybody has any ideas of what they want us to talk about in the Old Mage MTG podcast, send them our way. I think we're going to start with Dead Guy Ale. I want to start talking about Dead Guy Ale, thinking about Dead Guy Ale. Classic Dead Guy Ale archetypes, pre-modern Dead Guy Ale. There's a whole bunch of pre-modern decks we need to dig into. We've learned about decks that we've just mentioned on this podcast, but never really played, thought much about. Fruity Pebbles, Alex. You were excited about Fruity Pebbles. We could talk history of Fruity Pebbles. We could eat Fruity Pebbles while we discuss history of Fruity Pebbles. We can have a whole quarter on cereal decks where we could eat the cereal and talk about the deck named after the cereal.
That sounds great.
It would be incredible. But I'm actually trying to watch my sugars. And in addition to that, I have a gluten allergy. So I don't think I'd be able to eat a lot of those cereals. But Fruity Pebbles is gluten-free, Alex. So is
rice
Cocoa.
based.
So are Cocoa Pebbles. But they're not good for my sugar.
Cocoa Krispies? Probably rice based, right?
Well, Cocoa Krispies aren't Cocoa Pebbles.
Right. No.
Rice Krispies, straight up regular Rice Krispies are not gluten-free.
Okay. I
They
figured
have
they'd probably throw some flour in there just to be a dick.
barley malt. They give it malted flavor. But they do make gluten-free Rice Krispies.
Oh, okay.
I think they taste pretty similar. I've only
They're called
eaten
rice.
those. Yeah, I've only eaten those in like Rice Krispie treats. So when you
Okay.
take gluten-free Rice Krispies or regular Rice Krispies and you cover them in marshmallow and butter and stuff, they taste the same.
Yeah, okay.
But Fruity Pebbles are gluten-free. There would be some times when I just wanted a bunch of sugar. Once every 5 years, I just buy a box of Fruity Pebbles and I eat the whole box in one night. Sometimes I buy them at the same time I buy ice cream and I mix the Fruity Pebbles in with the ice cream. And I eat that. And then I think, why did I do that? Anyways, more soldiers coming next week. Thanks for listening to the end. We love you. We appreciate you.
We love you.
Alex says thank you for the support. Talk to you later.
I ain't gonna do this anymore. That's all for me. Goodbye.